If you have a 2003 to 2009 4Runner, you do not care about scratches on the body panels. You don't care about dents. You care about one thing, and that's seeing where you're going when you're on the trails at nighttime. In this video, I'm gonna install a brand new set of the brightest LED pod lights on the market, the Morimoto 4Banger. Morimoto also came up with a variety of 8-pillar brackets, so we're gonna install these on the 8-pillar brackets on this 4Runner behind me. No longer do you have to have these crappy Amazon headlights or the Amazon bulbs. He's gonna be able to see where he's going when he's down on the trails. Let's get started. First things first, there's two pod lights that you need to be aware of. The entry level, which Morimoto calls the NCS pod, they use Nichia chips and it's super bright, has the same beam pattern as their higher end model, the HXB or HX Boost. They use an OSRAM chip. Those things are stupid bright. And if you get the beam pattern that is a white wide version, it is the brightest one that we have ever tested here at Headlight Revolution. Now the NCS and the HXB both come in 3 different beam patterns. They have the wide beam pattern, they have a combo beam pattern, and they have a spotlight beam pattern. All 3 beam patterns are great. However, the one that decimates all is the wide version. 80% or more of our customers buy the white wide version, so that is definitely something to consider, especially if you're gonna mount it in something like a fog light. Now, if you wanna see how these pod lights stack up against the rest of the competitors out there, Chris Nelson does an in-depth review where he compares these against Style Dynamics, Rigid Industries, and so on. So if you wanna see how he came to the conclusion of these being the best, be sure to watch that video. Now, all of these pod lights and all the driving beam patterns come with either an amber version or a white version. So the higher end OSRAM chips that are used in the HXB 4Bangers, those are a more yellow look. And when you use the NCS 4Bangers, they look a little bit more amber. That's because the NCS uses those Nichia chips. And Nichia chips, they do come in a yellow, whereas the OSRAM chips do not come in a yellow. One thing to note, in all of our testing, the amber versions always came in slightly less than the white versions. That's because the light passing through that yellow lens, it loses a little bit of its luminosity. Since the NCS chip, that entry-level 4Banger, uses a yellow chip passing through the yellow lens, it doesn't quite lose as much lumens. So that is something to consider. And it's up to you to decide what's more important for your build. Now, what about the reliability? With all of the testing that we have done so far, we have not had any issues. They have an IP69K rating, which means they're totally waterproof. Also, they have a limited lifetime warranty, so they've got to be pretty good. As far as dimming down goes, when you guys are driving at over 4.5 miles an hour, you actually don't lose as much loss of light as you will see in some of our testing or in our other videos. So be sure to note that they don't actually lose but 8% of the brightness when you're driving over 4.5 miles per hour. The last thing to note about these 4Bangers real quick is that they have about a 30% smaller footprint than that of all of the competitors out there. So if you're mounting them in, say, one of the custom brackets on the front bumper in any of your vehicles, they're gonna fit so much better, like an OEM Plus look. So enough talking, let's go ahead and pop the hood and get started. Okay, so let me first tell you guys about the wiring harness. This is what we have to install to get the 4Bangers to work properly on the 8-pillar brackets. Let me tell you about it really quick. This wiring harness does come with a switch. That's pretty cool. This right here is a really cool Morimoto switch. It's got the M on it. However, you could choose to use any switch you want. It has this barrel connector right here, and you can just go ahead and remove it. And then included in the kit, you can just install this. This right here just has a bare wire right here. So if you had upfitter switches, or you had your own personal switch or an S-Pod system, you can do that as well. It also has 2 Deutsch connectors. This will be connected to your 4Bangers on one side, and then this light 2 will be ran over to the passenger side. It's got a ground terminal and a positive terminal. This will go connected to your battery, and then it's got a relay. This relay right here is what we're gonna mount first, and this needs to be mounted vertically. Do not mount this way. That's the last thing you want. You're gonna have water intrusion, and it's not gonna be any good. So let's go ahead and mount the relay. So like I said, when mounting the relay, we're gonna mount it upright, and I'm gonna mount it right here, kind of by the fuse box. Now, there's a million different ways to mount a relay. You could use zip ties if you want to. I'm gonna use this right here. It's a little self-tapping screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw that right here. Shouldn't be any issues at all. All right. Now I did already pre-drill this hole off camera, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in right here. I wanted to make sure that what I was telling you is correct and that you still have enough room to connect to your battery. So, tighten that down. All right, now that bolt is in, we're gonna go ahead and run light 2, this Deutsch connector. We're just gonna run it to the other side, kind of mock it up a little bit. One thing I didn't show you guys in the intro here is that we do have an extension harness. This allows you to actually reach from the driver's side to the passenger side. So go ahead and plug in your extension harness. That also comes in the kit, thankfully. And follow me over to the passenger side. All right, now like I said, I'm just gonna mock this for now. However, you are gonna wanna tidy up this wiring later. So go ahead, drape it over here. Your A-pillar bracket's gonna be mounted right here under the hood. So we're gonna go ahead and just put this under here for now. Now go ahead and take light 1 and we're gonna route this where the A-pillar bracket will be on this side. Just go right here for now. We're gonna leave this sit right here. Now we can install the brackets. Just to give you an idea of what it's gonna look like, we're gonna mount it kind of like this and put it right here. We do have to remove these 12mm bolts, however, to get this bracket on. Go ahead and take these plastic clips that are also included in the kit and put them inside your A-pillar bracket. The clip will go in just like this. This is just to hold the wiring once you have the 4Banger mounted. There's another clip right here. I already put it in, as you can see. Now you can go ahead and remove these 2 bolts. Grab a friend, because this hood will slam down on your fingers. Grab a friend to help you hold the hood. Take out these 2 bolts, mount your bracket, put the 2 bolts back in. All right, I'm gonna start with this top 12mm here. And with these brackets, you do unfortunately have to take them all the way out, but that's no big deal. So now I would suggest getting a friend here to help hold it while you remove the second bolt. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and mount the bracket. And then the bolt goes back in. And you might have to adjust it a little bit. So we're gonna actually pull it down a little. There you are. Hand tighten both of them and then tighten them back down. So first bracket is on. Go over to the passenger side, do the exact same thing, and then I'll meet you back over here where we can mount the 4Banger. Once the passenger side is complete, go ahead and lower the hood. You don't have to shut it all the way. And come over to the driver's side. Now the first thing I'm gonna mount is the U-bracket. So go ahead and take the U-bracket that comes in your A-pillar kit. Now go ahead and take the bolt from the top down, go put it on the A-pillar bracket, just like that. Take your washer and your 17mm bolt, put it underneath it. Washer first and then the nut. And then tighten it down, but don't tighten it down all the way with a 17mm wrench. The reason I'm not gonna tighten it down all the way is because I want to align them once we get outside. All right, now we can mount the 4Banger itself. The 4Bangers I'm gonna be using are the amber, like I said, and they're gonna be the wide beam pattern. This is gonna really help when he's going down the trails. There's 2 bolts on each side. Go ahead and put those in. To tighten them down, we're gonna use a T30 Torx bit. Again, we're gonna adjust the vertical aim later. Just wanna get them mocked up for now. Now make sure you plug in the Deutsch connector too while you're over here. Make sure you hear it click. That lets you know that it's completely waterproof. So the 4Bangers are now installed. Now we get to make it to the fun part, the Morimoto switch. Now, like I said, this is removable, this barrel connector, so we're gonna go ahead and remove this real quick. The reason I'm removing this switch is so that way I don't have to put this switch through the firewall, because that would be terrible. We are only gonna have to put this through the firewall. Now there's a few different ways to go about doing this. You can follow the wiring that's down in the abyss here and just cut a little slit in the rubber with a little knife and pass it through with, say, a wire fish. Another way that you could pass this wiring through the firewall is with the step bit, drill a hole. Morimoto has thought ahead and does recommend you doing it that way. Once you drill a hole, you can use this little rubber grommet, so that way you have no water intrusion and your feet don't get wet when you're going down the trails. And I know that was no small task passing this wire through the firewall, but here you are, you did it, nice work. Now let's go ahead and mount that Morimoto switch. This is where it can get a little unique. So you can put the switch anywhere you want. However, what I'm gonna probably end up doing is put it right here. As you can see on the back side, there's not a lot of stuff on the back side of this getting in the way. So you can put the whole switch, this whole thing, into the plastic. I'm not gonna do it, I'm just gonna show it to you because he does already have a switch here for these lights. So we're just gonna go ahead and tap into those so we don't have to drill more holes. Essentially, what you have to do is find yourself a place to put the switch. You're going to be using a step bit on a drill and drill it to a 3/4 inch size hole. Once the hole is drilled, you're going to go ahead and take this switch. It's got a little locking washer on it like this. Remove this little locking washer. This is going to help the switch be held into the plastic. You're going to wedge the plastic in between it. So take that off. Pass this through the hole that you just drilled. Now reach on the back side of wherever you decided to put this switch, put this lock ring back on. So you got the switch, the plastic in which you put the hole and then the switch through, and the metal ring. Tighten it down and then go into the back side and plug this waterproof connection in. So the installing of the switch is complete. Hard part's over. Now all you have to do is connect your positive and negative battery terminals. There's a 10mm nut right here. Let's go ahead and remove that to get to the negative terminal. Try not to drop it into the abyss. Place the black wire over the negative terminal and tighten down that 10mm nut. Do the same thing on the positive terminal. For some reason that nut is a 12. Get your positive terminal, place it on top of there, and tighten that nut back down. So your battery terminals are connected. That means you are completely done with every connection on this harness. Go ahead and push that Morimoto switch to see if they work. If they do work, you're in luck. Now go ahead and tidy up all of that wiring. Use some zip ties and make sure it's not around anything that moves. Now as you can see, it's not that difficult installing a pod light you can finally brag about. Go down the trails and see how much better these are than anything else on the market. There's so much that we have to offer for your 4Runner. Go to headlightrevolution.com, type in your year, make, and model, and you'll see everything there.